number one. For Shane Van Gisbergen comes in Portland.
What the heck is a quad lock?
Watch this to find out. Whether you're in the car, on the bike, on the water, in the air, your phone is an important tool. Keep it secure with Quad Lock. Some of the shit you've said this year, you say the truth and you get those legal letters. Here it's kind of a bit more normal, like some of the shit Demi Hamlin says, you could never get away with that in Australia, but you know, he's loved and hated for being out there and outspoken, and I think it's really good what he says, and it's normally accurate.
Oh no! He's in defence! The boat's in defence! They're all in defence! Oh, unbelievable!
I'd like to start.
You can do the honours, mate.
Go on. You can do the sound check.
I'll wait for you guys.
We're ready, mate. We've got them sitting here.
Hang on, I think we're ready. Just give me 2 seconds.
Ready to go? Steve.
Steve, the other dog, is he?
Yeah, Steve's the other dog.
Nice.
What type of dog is it again? What breed?
It's Steve. He's an Australian red heeler crossed with something else.
G'day, Steve.
He's a ripper.
Steve-O. Yeah, he's cool. He's a fucking good dog, man.
Well, I think we're good to go.
Pop the top, big fella.
Mate, okay. Sound check.
Sound check.
Sound check.
Yeah. I'm happy. Last time we did this was at 7 a.m. or something, so I couldn't really drink. Now it's 9:30, so I'm good.
Yeah, this is much better. And the end of a race day for you too.
Yeah, I just drove home, so all good.
Cheers, mate. You've probably earned a couple after today.
Yeah, a bloody long race. So we do 500 laps of Martinsville, 250 miles or something, and just under 4 hours. A long way.
Far out. Is it on the short track? I imagine it's a bit more physical than like the super speedways. But is it a big is it super taxing at the end of today with the heat and everything?
Yeah, I'm pretty rooted, but it's the stage breaks help. Like after the first stage, I was hanging out for the stage break because you're just pushing the whole time. Like whether you're at the back or in the middle or the front, like you're always racing hard. And the start of the race was quite good. I got up to I think just 29th or 28th or something. Like I passed a few cars and getting the hang of it. And then I think it was lap 30 or 40, and they're like, okay, leader's coming. You got 5 cars between you. And I'm like, oh shit, already. And then next lap, okay, leader's at the line now. And I was braking for turn 1, and it's like he was already there after 40 laps, because there's just, there's 36 cars in a 20-second lap.
Yeah.
So the field spread is just huge. So by the time you all get single filed out, you're over half a lap behind. It's crazy how quick the leader's coming, and because you're at the back battling, it's they're in clean air. They just got good tyres still by the time they get to you, and they're like on another planet by the time they pass you. But at the end of the race, when I got to the front, you feel the opposite. You're running with better cars and you just get rolling. But yeah, it's mentally, it's like being in a supercars battle at the start of a race from 15th to the back. Everyone's just scrapping and fighting, but it's like that the whole race. It never settles down on a short track. It's crazy.
Is it worse because of the stage breaks? Does that just bring everyone back together, or does it? You were saying at the end of your stage you felt like you were going to be getting the hurry on anyway, so it must there's no field spread. But does it make it worse when you get the stage break and go back into a restart? The pressure.
I can see why they have the stage breaks and it re-racks them, and you have something to aim for, racing for the points and stuff. But yeah, I don't know if it went 500 laps non-stop.
Yeah.
There's a few races where they don't have cautions. It gets pretty boring, So as a fan, it's good action, and as a driver, if you're struggling with your car, it gives you a chance to work on it because a yellow's coming. So yeah, I think the stage breaks work pretty well on ovals. On road courses, they're a bit of a gimmick, I think, but the ovals work really well.
It'd almost be hard as a spectator to know who's in the lead as well. It's like when you go to the sprint cars and they'll run like an A main and there's no caution and you end up losing. Like if you look away for a second or look at someone else you're fucked. You don't know who's leading the race anymore. It's almost impossible.
No, they got a massive scoring pylon.
Oh, okay.
In pretty much every track, and then a big screen TV that wraps around with the scoreboard really good. So I was reading it today, what position I was, and the gap to the lead. I was watching where the leader was, and you look at how many laps to go on the stage. Like the screen's massive. So if I can follow it as a driver, surely as a fan, what's going on.
Yeah, especially on short track.
That's one thing I think sucks about Bathurst. They took the totem pole down. The totem pole used to be cool at Bathurst.
Yeah.
You'd come out past ridges, you'd look up,
Yeah, that
like
was good.
in like a practice qual, you'd be like, oh, fucking going right here or I'm shit. Because you'd see
Check it in qualifying.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, you know where you're at.
Yeah, it's a shame that's gone, but I guess we probably should.
Yeah, you'd be pissed at the end of qualifying.
Yeah, it's right. You're like, fuck, I'm well off. And then reads the time, after like 10 seconds, you're like, oh, I'm like a second half off here. This is no good. Should we intro the show? Because this is a new thing. We got SVG back.
Yeah, I just rolled.
We rolled straight in without even an intro.
Yeah, we're up to episode 21 here, Shane.
That's pretty impressive. You guys have had a good run.
Yeah, well, it's the thing is it's up to us to keep uploading, so no one can really stop us. So I don't know if it means we're successful or just persistent.
I think we're just lucky we got some famous mates.
Yeah, exactly. But it is a new thing, so we are back for episode 21, and we've got our mate Shane, who has just finished at Martinsville. He had the Xfinity Series yesterday, Cup Series this morning, and has done his trek back home. Sent him a message and said, "Do you want to jump on the podcast?" Because we're about to pre-brief the Adelaide 500, which we'll keep that bit relatively short because we did run through the points at the end of Gold Coast, the championship points and everything. We will get your opinion. I think it'd be good to have your opinion going into the last round of what it's like in a supercars team, battling with your teammate for a championship and all those sorts of things. But we wanted to, get a rundown from you today because it's quite unusual, I guess, or unique to be able to get you on after you've just had a race today. So looking forward to that chat. And of course, give a shout out to our partners with Trico Wiper Blades, East Coast Car Rentals and Lancaster Motor Group, always supporting us and looking after us. And remember, if you want to use the East Coast Car Rentals discount if you are going on a holiday or you're going to go to the 500 for the final event, AHU15 for 15% off. So appreciate the support from all our partners and support of the people that are watching. So I hope you enjoy this show. It's a good opportunity. And but yeah, firstly, well done, Shane. P12 today in the Cup Series. So pretty solid result.
6 Chev too, mate. That probably doesn't mean much. That probably doesn't mean much to you, but
well, I wrote on my social post tonight. Like, I should never ever celebrate 12th, and I'm never going to. But it's been tough. Like, I didn't underestimate how tough ovals are going to be. But man, to run up front in a cup race on an oval, to be there, and it's to get a top 20 is an achievement. Like, there's 20 guys who can win every day, and to be in and amongst the field. And when I got up front to run up there, like, it felt awesome, and 12th felt like a amazing result. So definitely expectations have changed in a year, but it's pretty cool. I was stoked with it.
Yeah, and how far away is Martinsville from your joint? Because you drove back, right, mate? Or did you fly back tonight?
Yeah, I drove. It was just under 2 hours. So,
so it's a lot.
I drove back and forth every day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was going to stay up there on Saturday night near it, but I felt all right after Xfinity, so I just drove home. It's good sleeping in your own bed.
Did you say you drove home after Xfinity?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, each night.
Yeah.
You basically like going to Winton and back.
It's still a couple of hours, though. It's still...
Yeah, but I got a nice Chevrolet Tahoe, got cruise control and seat warmers. I'm good.
Very nice. What's the schedule on a Cup Series day look like for you?
So woke up this morning, 8:30. It was
sleeping.
Got an extra hour of sleep because of daylight savings, so that was mint. Then I drove to the track, got there at 11:30, signed some autographs on the way in, which is cool, meet some fans, and then we had our team meeting. Then we have driver's briefing, driver intros, and jump in the car. So it's a bit different to arriving at the track at 9 a.m. and doing a whole bunch of promotional shit before you race. So literally just get there, you meet some sponsors, some fans, and jump in the car and go. It's my dream way to go racing.
Yeah, that's wild.
I reckon that's so good because, even now, we get there so early and you just hurry up and wait, especially a support category. Like, you'll be on track, say, at 9 and then your race is at 4:30.
Yeah.
In between that, you're just like, and no one wants to speak to you. So it's like, what am I doing now?
But then, so do you get practice today or is it just...
No, I qualified yesterday on Xfinity, but like Bristol was the weirdest race I've ever done, right? It was Saturday a couple of months ago now, and like I got up, drove up at 10 a.m., got there at 1, and just did the track walk, did practice, qualifying. Then we met our sponsors, and you do your signings on the way to the driver intros, do my race, and then I was home just after midnight. Like, it's an amazing way to go racing. It's very, very different.
Is there an opportunity to get to know some of the other drivers, or you're just there now such a short period at the track you don't really see anyone?
Yeah, so when we go to Talladega and you're there for 3 days, or you're at West Coast, like I do a little bit there, and for like those long haul races, I try and go for a run with Ross or another guy, Corey LaJoy. We try and do something to just hang out. They get a bit, it does get a bit like long days when you're not doing much, but you find something to do. I've been trying to do something at every place I go because everywhere's new to me. So try and have a look around and, at each town there's normally something. Like probably the coolest one I've done was actually back in Phoenix. I went to a rodeo and on the Friday night. That was epic. It was just loose doing that, and it's good doing stuff. Everywhere I go, like the country, it's just one country, but it's everywhere you go, it's very, very different to the next place. Like it's quite cool to see it all. Yeah,
that's very cool. The getting into the race a little bit, it looked pretty action packed. I watched most of it through this morning and saw that number 12, he went on to win the race today, I think, but he offloaded you at one point pretty hard he attempted once, slightly got in the rear of you, and then in the next corner he gave you a massive, massive bump and run. Anything happen over that, or did you get an opportunity to get him back?
No, well, that was deserved, right? So I was getting lapped at that stage for the second time at that point of the race. And I had two guys coming up on me, and they were side by side, the 12 and the 24. And I like, shit, where do I go? Because you can't go three wide. There's no grip. So I just took the bottom, obviously, to help a Chevy. It's basic. And then the 12 just shipped me hard. And then I took out the 24. So it's kind of deserved, but also a bit rude by him. But I understand why it happened. But, I got a call on the radio, Remember, I restarted later behind the 12, and they're like, okay, remember what the 12 did to you earlier? And I'm like, that shit still blows my mind. Like, I understand it. It means so much to Chevy to have a car in the playoffs. But, I'm not just going to go crash into someone just for the sake of it. But, it's very interesting watching tonight the politics and how it plays out. And, someone was in the playoffs and then he rode the wall, so he got knocked out. Like, it's very interesting how stuff works here, but I think it's pretty cool too.
So that put, because Bell got bumped for the wall ride, and then that put Byron, which is the 24, back in, right?
Yeah.
Who's a shit?
Yeah, and at that stage of the race, the 3 and the 1 were guarding to the 24, I think it was, to help him hold position. And like I got back to 12th, I kind of saved my tyres, drove back to the group, and then the group I was in, we started catching 4th and 5th. And I thought, shit, we're on here. And then I looked up and I could see the guys going too wide. I'm like, okay, I know what's happening here. There's a bit of blocking going on. So I kind of just, curbed my excitement for a little bit. I was only catching because they were blocking, but it was, the manufacturers, like, it's something we don't really have in Australia. We didn't have is, that how much it means to the manufacturers and how much support they put in, and how much they try and make the teams work together. So
with that, mate, because it's such a big thing between Toyota, Ford, and Chev. If a Chev wins the playoffs, the championship, do they get an incentive or prize money, as in the manufacturers, from NASCAR, or not? It's just purely bragging rights. Do you know?
I'm not sure about that, but of course the teams do, and then I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's shared between all of the key partner Chevy teams. Like when we go to the simulator during the week, it's at GM, and there'll be the Hendrick drivers, the Trackhouse drivers, the RCR drivers, and if the RCR guys haven't or can't make their sim sessions, I've done a few the last couple of months, for RCR as a GM driver. It's quite cool how it works and how close the teams all work together.
Yeah, I saw that in that Netflix series where Ford came in the playoffs. Have you watched it? It's pretty wild. The show is literally like watching it is the Talladega Nights. Everyone's houses are just bullshit in it. They're massive. But I saw the Ford guys come in. They all got to sit down in the motorhome, and Ford was like, whatever we do, we work together. And it was every team. It wasn't just like a factory Ford team. It was like every Ford.
Well, that's
So at Daytona in the July race, there's a young kid, Parker Retzlaff. He was just doing a one-off race, kind of like I was, and he found himself in a really good position, and he pushed a Ford to the win. As a Chevy driver.
Oh.
And it was just went nuts. And the poor kid got 5th or something in a cup race. Like, it was an amazing job. And then he got crucified for it by Chevy, because Kyle Busch didn't get pushed to the win. It would have made him in the playoffs. But, so I think in those meetings at that stage, it was only the key partner Chevy teams.
Right.
And when we went back to Talladega the second time, it was every single Chevy driver in the meeting and trying to, they coordinate when they're pit, who to push, and and then as we were leaving, Ford had their meeting next door with all the Ford drivers. It's very different. Yeah.
What's been the biggest shift for you personally now? We see that, we've always seen this side of you, but when we look at what's happening on TV and your interviews and everything, you definitely seem, you're more on TV now, what we've seen always behind the scenes. What
a guy.
What
a guy.
We're off the pace here.
He's earned it. He's done double duties. If I'd burnt 6,000 calories, I'd be smashing them too.
We're getting off topic here, but it's like E-Series, when we finish the race and get on the sherbets and,
Actually, me and Scotty were only talking the other day, which would be good now because obviously you're on the other side of the world. We're thinking of getting a couple of sims and setting them back up, be another way to engage and
we want to get a couple
cans with you. And
we could set up a series. Yeah. We used to have a really good endurance series, that Apex Hunters United Endurance. That was really good back in the day.
Would Foster run that again? Because I know that Foster was kind of all into it. And I think there's actually been a few questions online. Some people have asked, would we start up the E-Series again, the Apex Hunters series that you guys used to run?
Maybe. That could be pretty cool. I'd rather do like a social series or something. That'd be fun. But I don't know, we could work something out there.
The streams were funny. Some of the YouTube videos, I posted you today, obviously.
What a dog.
Sending in your voice memo. It's one of my favorite. It's my favorite voice memo. And I've got some legs out of that now. I've stretched across too.
I don't even remember sending those.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me, mate.
Elliot said to me, he goes, there's no way he's not deleting those messages in the morning. In the morning, we're going to wake up and Shane will have deleted it. And I said, I've screen recorded the whole thing. So I've got it for good.
If I wake up and I'm slowed, I can see Shane's deleted something and I haven't seen what it was originally because I was obviously asleep or something. I'm like, damn it, I've missed it.
As you get back to the original question, I guess that's just how it is here. You have less consequence for saying the wrong thing. You see some of the shit you've said this year, you say the truth and you get those legal letters. Here it's kind of a bit more normal. Like some of the shit Denny Hamlin says, you could never get away with that in Australia, but he's loved and hated for being out there and outspoken, and I think it's really good what he says, and it's normally accurate, and all the stuff, pretty much all the stuff you say is the same, accurate. Like especially that Erebus Brody stuff, like everyone needs to know the truth or should know the truth, but just get swept under the rug. And every time you brought it to light, here's another letter, I think here it's really good. And I can just be myself. And
I think it's great. I was just going to say, I think it's great what you're doing, but I think here as well, even drivers can get upset easily. I think that you say some stuff and like everyone gets offended quite quickly. It doesn't mean we don't like anyone in particular. It's just you say something, it's your opinion in the moment, especially when you're in the heat of the battle and stuff. Like I've said so many things to people, but it's never been like a personal thing. You have an argument with the driver, but sometimes it lingers for longer than it probably should. But I wanted to know, because now with the partners you're dealing with, like you talk about Chevrolet, they're passing messages to you during a race, which is, for most of us back here, is unbelievable to have a manufacturer and the main, like the heads of the manufacturing to manufacturer to talk to you during a race is another level. But does that not, because everyone says the reason we don't say things or speak out is because we're afraid of losing a sponsorship deal or being sued, which is definitely a real deal. But, when you're dealing with global brands now, you seem to have more freedom. It's almost like the guys below the head of the global brands are almost, they're a bit more afraid of letting us be ourselves, whereas the bigger the person is within the brand, they're happy to give you a bit more freedom, almost like because they're in charge of the business and how it runs. But they seem to let you be who you are, and you have got the big heads at these brands supporting you.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like even Red Bull, which is an awesome brand in Australia, and even what we do, like it was still very PC. Like my helmet had to be a certain way, and I had to, always be doing certain things. Where in America, it's a little bit looser, but it's still, you still got that. You're still proud to represent the brand, but you're a little bit looser with what you wear on your head, or even my helmet design is freed up. Like the Speedway helmet I'm doing for this summer is completely different to anything I've ever been allowed to do before. Like it's just, you're just freed up with a whole bunch of things. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know how to put it into words.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's different. Yeah.
It's good because it's such an authentic thing. And I've started, the reason I think we're having, we consume a fair bit of content from the US, and Denny Hamlin's pod and a few of those are, and even YouTubers and things I really enjoy. And I actually enjoy watching. Their attitude is that they're promoters as well. And I think that there's still some onus on us as drivers to promote the sport, and to do that, sometimes you've got to be a bit controversial. You have to be just authentic. And I think that if you're quiet, you're not going to bring sex appeal to the sport. And that's what like Denny does. You don't have to always agree with everything. I mean, Elliot's about to say he brings sex appeal without even talking. Look at him.
Just look at me. Me and my 3 chins just ooze sex appeal.
Someone told him yesterday, you look much fitter in person than on the podcast.
Yeah, and I said, because Scott's a doggy, I slide in this couch too. It's slippery as right, so I'm always slouching. And then I'm like, he sets the cameras up at the wrong angle for me. I'm usually skinny, I swear.
Damn it. But you look at Chase Elliott, he's the most popular driver, and
Really?
he's a bit like me in Australia. He's very shelled up and keeps to himself, and they do the Netflix documentary, also like Max Verstappen, and he just says, no, I'm not doing it. Nothing personal, do stuff at the track, but anyway, anything away from the track, no, you're not coming near me. So he's very shelled up, but when you speak to him, he's just a normal dude, but he's very straight up and down, and toes the line on all his corporate stuff. So it's quite different. And Max is the same in his way. Everything, he shuts his personal life pretty far away. But yeah, it's interesting the differences between people like a Denny Hamlin versus a Chase Elliott. But Chase is still the most popular guy every year by far.
That surprises me. Hang on, sorry, sound check. I've got a question for you, mate. Just we've kind of gone away from Martinsville, but I just wanted to ask because it seems like it's one of those places that everyone wants to win. And other than the cool trophy, because they do the grandfather clock and all of that, is there a reason for that? What's the appeal to drivers there?
I think it's an old school kind of bull ring. It's been there forever. And it was like Richard Petty, he was the king there. He won 12 or 13 times, like something amazing. And, you get that trophy, it means so much. And, the race in the spring early in the year it was pretty big, but this one is all about pressure. It's the last race before the playoffs. In Xfinity yesterday, there was 5 or 6 guys who were must win to make it into Phoenix.
Right.
So you just, I sat down with my crew chief beforehand, and I'm like, okay, who do I know who I'm racing against? Is there a couple of guys who I have to look out for? And we looked at it, and there was 6 or 7, or actually another one, the 20, who's racing for owner points, not the championship. He ended up winning the race, but there was so many guys in a must-win, and before that Xfinity race, you could just feel the tension and the way the race ramped up during it. You could see how much it meant to everyone, and all these desperate moves going on, and then there was 2 guys come together and they just had a fight afterwards. Like it was.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was crazy, how much.
Give him the judo chop, didn't he? Open hand judo chop, I saw.
It was an open arm slap. It was pretty weak, but it was, you just see the tempers and the tension, and especially when the restarts came down on the 3rd stage, and that's what ended up taking me out. But just, that give and take at the start of the race, it's all gone. Everyone's just, don't use the brake, just use the guy in front. It's, you just feel the hype, like the crowd and the driver intros. It's crazy.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a badge of honour sort of track when you win there, because it means you're a hardcore racer sort of thing, is it? Because it's such a tough little dogfight of a circuit.
Yeah, like as I said earlier, like every single lap I did, it felt like I was fighting and, just pushing the car to the limit every lap. It was pretty cool.
I had a question about the brakes there. Is it like, do you get brake fade like we used to in the old supercar, or does it, sometimes in the supercar we get, it starts to lose retardation where the brake's not biting anymore, because when they get hot, they just don't pull up, and they're horrible. It might not go long, the brake pedal, but you know how you're just pressing and it's not doing anything. What's it like at Martinsville?
Especially last year, right?
Last year was terrible.
Those brakes. They were so bad in traffic. Yeah. Anyway, speak about positives.
They are,
yeah,
positive, Shane, not to cut you off, it is much better this year. Bathurst last year, I remember even T8 were telling me they had to tell Richie to back off Brody because the brakes, they were overheating and he couldn't keep pushing. This year, mate, it was a lot better. You could follow. Actually, I'm not speaking from experience. I had 40 seconds around me of clean air, but I heard the brakes.
You're in no man's land, all right.
The brakes were much better this year.
Yeah, you didn't have hot brakes when you're riding around doing 11s. I remember.
I love it.
I remember last year you'd get on a straight and you go, what the fuck, are my engine's down on power? And you'd lose like 5 car lengths. But it was because your brakes were jammed on because they were too hot.
Yeah.
And then a couple of laps later, you'd be following someone and all of a sudden they'd be slow and you'd be able to pass them because their brakes were jamming on. It's bloody funny. But yeah, Martinsville, you kind of got to manage it a bit and you got to be careful. You have brake fans, so they're big, powerful fans which feed a bit more air in. And yeah, you just have to switch them on at the right time. If you switch them on too early, you get cold bite or the rear fades.
They're effective then.
Today I was really tight. Yeah, they're really effective. And today I was really tight in the early stages and I wound too much rear brake on and I faded the rears and then I kept locking fronts and getting even tighter. So I wound it 2 turns back forward and then I was away again. The rears cooled down and I got some balance back. And yeah, it's pretty cool how sensitive it is, but you just have no time to cool the car down. You're up someone's ass the whole time. There's no airflow. The engine's cooked. The brakes are cooked. It's very, very difficult.
So you do tune them on the bias in those things, Shane, do you?
Yeah. At some stages in the race, I was tuning it for each end of the track. The tracks were quite different. The rubber laid down, but that wasn't every lap. But yeah, when the rubber was really laid down at 3, I had to go forward to get it to turn at 1. And it's quite sensitive, you know. I could notice 2 clicks today each end. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What would you change on now you've almost done a full season, you've done more, I think you've done more Cup Series than you probably expected to do, yeah?
100%, yeah. We went from, I think I was meant to do 6 races. It was announced at the start of the year and then I don't know how many I've done now, but it's a lot more. It's been really cool and got a lot more experience than I thought, that's for sure. What
now that you are so experienced, what are some of the things you think you would want to change in NASCAR or just through your experience? What is it you reckon that would make the show a little bit better? Like you say that the sensitivity of the brakes and the tyres and everything is a positive, but is there anything you think's holding it back from being better or making the racing better?
Yeah, the cars are so the best thing about the Xfinity cars is you can be close to someone behind them and take the air away from the car in front, and you can upset the car in front of you and make a pass. The Cup cars are very aero sensitive. So if someone chops your nose, like they can be running high, you can be running low, you catch them, and then they chop your nose, you just lose all front. And it doesn't affect that car at all. So that's where Xfinity's really good. The racing works out really good on the 1.5 miles. The Cups cars are a little bit too sensitive, I think, to that. But
is that to do with the
drive? They're like a.
Sorry, Shana. Is that to do with the floors, mate? What's different? Like, why are they so different from car to car?
I think it's just the flat floor makes such a big difference. The way the air comes underneath the car rather than over the top of it. Like Xfinity, the Xfinity car is normally pre-sealed at the front, and the air comes over the top, and they rely so much on the rear spoiler and the side force. Whereas the Cup car, if you have someone on the outside of you, it doesn't make you loose; it makes you tighter. It's the complete opposite. So. Yeah, it's I think it's great. I think I did the right thing. Well, obviously did the right thing doing Xfinity for a year rather than jumping straight into the Cup cars. I've done the right thing by learning the tracks, how they race, the tires. But yeah, the cars are completely different animals. So yeah, it's going to be like starting from scratch next year. But I think if I just came straight into Cup, I would have got chewed up and spat out pretty quick. I think as I said earlier, I didn't underestimate it, but it's a very, very difficult sport, that's for sure.
What is it about the ovals that are so challenging? What do you think it is that is taking so long? Because you're obviously there on the road courses already.
Yeah, well, it's just the speed. And then the tyre. The tyre is so different. I've never driven a tyre that hates itself so much. When the first lap of the weekend is the fastest when the track's clean. And when the rubber goes down, it slows the track up. And it's amazing, particularly on the concrete tracks like today or Dover or Nashville. You can see the track it rubbers up, and then you're trying to change your line to avoid the rubber, and then the track gets wider and wider, and you're trying to avoid that rubber, and then under yellow, the new tires come on, and the rubber comes out of the track, and the track changes color again, and then that process starts normally, especially like at a surface paradise, the track gets quicker all weekend as the rubber goes down, and you get more rubber on the curves and the chicanes, you get more grip. It's the complete opposite in these things. Even at Watkins Glen on the rubber, it's amazing. I've never ever driven a tire like it, so it's been a huge learning process. Yeah, but also the tire can really handle a lot of slip for a short amount of time. You can really drive through the tire and make speed, which is not my strength. I was always am good at looking after the tire and being strong at the end of a run. And you can just abuse this tire, and it takes it for those couple of laps. And in practice yesterday, I was really, really good against the 31, my teammate Daniel Hemrick, and had him covered in practice, had him covered on the mock runs and stuff. And then in qualifying, he nailed it, and he beat me by 0.08 or something of a second. And he started 13th, I started 29th.
It's just wild, isn't it?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
And it's just the margins, how close all the cars are, and how good all the teams are and the drivers. Like, there's no, you just know, even if you're in a good car, you still got to lay a lap down to be up the front. Like, it's just so close. It's impressive.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? Is the deg an issue in a race, or because you said earlier, I think you were saying when you were in traffic, the leaders would come up on you, and because they've had clean air, they just had much better tyre. But it changed when you're at the front of the field, so it's a big thing.
So they had a fall off tyre for Martinsville, and it was very different to their earlier race. And we had about a second of fall off over 50, 60 laps, which sounds like a lot, but it's not. It goes pretty quick. And you just, you kind of have to manage each end. And if you start understeering, you kind of beat the corner more to use the rears up on entry and exit. And there's so many little tricks you can do to balance it out. It's, it's pretty cool.
A second is actually a lot. That's like 20 laps on a normal track. Not even, less than, because it's 20 seconds a lap for 50-odd laps.
So I think Homestead, we qualified at a 32, and then we were racing at 36s and 37s.
Wow.
It's the dig is massive. So for 2 corners, it's 4.5 seconds a lap or something.
That's crazy.
Full on. What's I know you've announced next year, which is great, mate. You're going full cup. Will you do any Xfinity with that? Like, will you dovetail any of the rounds and double duty again, or what's the plan? Can you tell us anything about that?
I'd like to. Obviously love to do the road courses, but the ovals I'm not sure about, because the cars are so different, and I found myself struggling going back and forth on the 1.5 miles, how different they are and how the approaches are. So I think I'm probably better off concentrating on just the cup. But, the short tracks like the Richmonds and the Martinsville's tracks I don't know yet, it is probably worthwhile driving an Xfinity car just to learn the rhythm of the race and, learn about the tyre and stuff. But I'll probably just try and concentrate on the cup, I think, and mainly do that.
How many races a year is Cup Series?
So next year it's 36 races over 37 weeks. We'll get Easter off, and then that's it.
That is sick.
That is insane.
I mean, no doubt at some point you'd be like, fuck, I'm tired. But that's, for guys just want to go racing. I've been through phases this year, like I was interested to know how it would feel racing every week. And, some weeks I'm tired or whatever. And, I did, we had 3 weeks off the Xfinity for the Olympic break. And I did the first week, I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like a break. It's good to have a weekend at home. And then the second week I was bored as shit, like ready to go racing again, And then, now I've got 1 week of racing left and I'm pumped. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? But I got a pretty big summer planned of racing. But, I don't know. It's pretty cool having that routine, knowing what you're doing every week and being able to drive a race car. It's pretty awesome.
Over the summer, are you going to dip your toe in some sprint car action again?
Yep. So I think I'll probably try and do a post in the next day or two. I'll do my first one's December 14th, and then I'll do the whole summer series starting Boxing Day till 5th of January. I think there's like 6 races. So, yeah, I'll do 6, 7 or 8 races, more if we can fit it in, and, yeah, try and keep racing. I missed the sprint car. I enjoyed that 2 years ago and want to do that again.
With testing, mate, in NASCAR.
Sound check. Hang on. Sound check. I've been sitting on that one for a little while, waiting for my moment to crack that without interrupting. But
Get it in your son. Testing, mate, for NASCAR, like, you would count as a rookie next season because it's your first full season in Cup, I would assume. Do you get any extra test days, or how does testing work in Cup, mate?
I actually asked that the other day. They're trying to figure that out, if I'm still classified as a rookie or not.
Because you got to win.
Then I might get 1 test day, but I highly doubt it. Yeah.
So just one. So everything's purely
nice.
sim-based, is it, mate? Just purely on the sim is where you learn.
Yeah, purely sim-based, but the sim is so difficult because it's all clean air. So you get, the optimal lap, which you never ever get really in your racing. So you need that race experience to learn how to move around and maneuver in traffic, and that's where those guys are so good, knowing where to place the car and anticipating where the guy's going to go and then reacting to it. I sort of just follow the guy into the corner, and I'm not confident enough to change my line or move around yet. So I'm getting there, but that'll just come with time.
So when they do, like, I know last year they did this year they did some tyre testing and some wheel testing and stuff. How do they pick who does that? And is that at tracks that you've already raced at for the season, or is it like, how does that stuff work?
No, so they do like Sonoma or tracks that have been resealed. Like I think North Wilkesboro got resealed. Sonoma, they went there, they did a tyre test, and that'll alternate between the teams. Or if they're changing the compound like they did at Watkins Glen, it'll change. So Trackhouse will get one, Hendrick will get one, or RCR will get them. And then obviously they alternate the drivers. So I think Trackhouse had Ross do the Sonoma test, and then actually I got to do the wheel force test, which was for Chevy because I wasn't racing at that race. And that was awesome, getting to drive there. I got like 6 sets of tyres over the 2 days, and they have these wheels that are worth $250,000 a corner, and it measures the forces, and it was unreal. And then they measure all the forces, what pressure's best, what camber's best. You do different runs at each setting, and Toyota and Ford are there at the same time doing the same stuff with the same wheels. And then then it gets all spat into data, and then they put it in the simulator. Then you got to go drive the simulator and make sure it feels the same, and get it ready for all the other drivers to test. Like it's the process and the technology is amazing. Like it's stuff that was I actually can't remember if we spoke about that on our last pod, but it for me that was eye-opening, and what that made me realize is how far behind you are, and how far behind we were in Australia with that kind of stuff. It's very impressive, the level of technology. You can only imagine what Formula One has. Yeah,
I don't think we touched on it, but I know you sent us a photo that we could see for like 10 seconds and disappeared of the wheel. I remember seeing the wheel, and it looked friggin' expensive.
Yep.
Did you scratch one?
Yeah. And yes, I went off on one of my first runs, and I shat myself. So they have the wheels, and then they have these probes that stick out of the side of it, and they hang out of the car, a little bit, and they're measuring the temps and also the stresses. And at Sonoma, you've got the walls up to turn 1. And, I was trying to stay away from the walls because you got these things sticking out of your car. And, low pressures up the hill at Sonoma. I bottomed out and had a huge moment. Went straight up the hill and over the bank, and I was stressing, but luckily it didn't wreck a wheel.
It makes me wonder if Penske took advantage of some of these things in the supercar program back when they were here, because the last 6 months of Scotty Mack and the Penske period wasn't as dominant as when they first came in and really hit their straps. And I wonder if when they were departing the championship, if they stopped some of that innovation, and that's why we saw them fall away. I know they won Bathurst, but really, like the back end of that year, you started to take over again in the Red Bull car. I wonder how much they took advantage of some of that, because you'd be mad not to, and they had it at their fingertips with Ford.
Yeah, of course, like that, the resource that they have, and, the shock technology and everything. And we certainly caught up a little bit. As bad as those standard shocks are, it helped us get to a level playing field or leveler. But yeah, they just, the strength of these teams that would have had to filter down to what DJR had and Penske had. But yeah, as I say, the technology here is a very, very long way ahead of what we had, and they did a better job those couple of years and left us behind a bit. They had a great driver and a really good team with really good people. So, but yeah, coming here now, you can see why a lot of that happened, I reckon.
Yeah.
You got any more NASCAR questions, or should we fire into some sort of...
What's the recovery like after a Sunday night compared to... Oh, yeah. Hang on. Actually, I might do the same because I'm through my 2. So I'm going to grab another 2.
Yeah, and can I have a piss?
Yeah, we'll take a piss because I reckon what we'll do, we'll give you pretty much wrap that up, and then we'll go into a supercar pre-brief.
And then we'll get all the funny questions and memos for you.
Okay. Give me 2. I can't wait.
Hey, you can do your pants up before you walk around the corner.
Cut that bit out.
All right. Well, before we wrap this one up, what's your goals out of this? You say you got one weekend left now. What's your expectations for the last round, and then what are you hoping to achieve next year with your first season of Cup Series?
Ooh, well, firstly, sound check. We're back. Yeah, I don't know. Phoenix, I guess, build on it. I think I came 5th or 6th there the first time, but I run 15th or something, got lucky at the end. But yeah, looking at my notes, we had some things we could improve on, and yeah, I've always found myself improving second time back at a track and being able to get straight into it. So yeah, love to finish the season off strong with just a good result, clean car, and yeah, enjoy it with our team. I had a pretty good year with the 97 guys at Corlick. They're an awesome team, and yeah, it'd be nice to finish with a good result. I think there hasn't been many weeks this year where I've left the track, down or pissed off. It's been pretty fun most weeks.
Yeah, nice. And so what about, expectations? Obviously, you got to keep them realistic, I imagine, but I can see there's a few events there that you're going to want to try and win. And I imagine your expectation is to try and win, but obviously you still got challenges over. What's your next year? What would be a box ticked for SVG?
I don't know. I never ever race with expectations anymore. Don't know why, but I never have. Just go there and do my best and have fun. But obviously the road courses I'm going to be fine, but I want to improve at the ovals. My weakness this year has been the intermediates, the 1.5 mile tracks, and yeah, I'll just focus on them. And the road courses this year I haven't put much emphasis on, and I just go there and I'm decent at them. It's the ovals where I'm trying to learn and get better. So yeah, I just got to keep focusing on that, understand this new car, and yeah, settle into that routine of racing every week. And the hardest thing is getting momentum, because you don't ever do the same race twice, which is 2 weeks in a row, which is, for me, the best thing about NASCAR. You don't get in this monotonous regime of 1.5 mile every week or short track every week. Every week the style of track changes, so you can't get momentum going. You're always focusing on a new challenge, and I love that variety of it. So yeah, I just hope next year, try and have that same energy every week, same motivation, turn up on a Monday afternoon and be ready to go again for the next week. But hopefully with a couple of Monday hangovers would be nice.
Yeah. Any plans, mate, to do like Daytona 24 or anything? Like, have Chev got anything in the pipeline for you to do some cool shit? Or
Yeah, so luckily Jess, my lovely partner, she's just become the GD3 program manager, so I'm hounding her for a drive at the moment, which is awesome. So yeah, hopefully I can do something at Daytona 24. That was my favorite endurance race. I did a lot around the world, luckily enough, and that one was always my favorite. I love that race, the way it flows and how relaxed and fun it is. And now it's only an hour flight from home rather than 28 hours or whatever it was. So yeah, I'd really love to get back to that race and have some fun. So I've got nothing really confirmed yet, but a few things in the pipeline which are looking good.
Well, it's definitely, it's on my bucket list. So if Chev need a mediocre silver rank, mate, let me know and I'll be there.
Make a good silver, actually.
Maybe I can fight for bronze. If I can get my bronze ticket, I might be on.
Yeah, you always need a sparkly silver. They're always good.
I don't know if I'm sparkly, but I'll have a go, son.
Beautiful. All right. Well, let's wrap that one up because we're keeping you on board for the Adelaide 500 intro. Should be our next episode. So, cheers, mate. Good job, Martinsville, and good luck next week. Cheers.
Thank you.
Should we open another can for the start of?
I will be. We can let Shane off because he's literally just cracked one.
Nah, he's burnt 2,500 calories a day. Thank you. You can you can get through it. What are you drinking now? I know it's got a red top on it, mate. A red pin. What is it?
Some fucking weird cider, man. My friend Manny got it for me.